This is my top 15 cool toned eyeshadow palettes. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we are going to be chatting about my top 15 with one honorable mention, cool toned eyeshadow palettes. I do a video like this once a year and I thought what better way to kick off eyeshadow palette week this April than to chat about my favorite cool toned eyeshadow palettes. I did a video last January or February where I chatted about the favorite cool tone palettes for, like, neutral palettes for people with a cool undertone. So this is a slightly different take on it. This is really about cool tone neutral eyeshadow palettes. So if you've been waiting for those recommendations, here's my updated list. I'll make sure to link some of my previous videos in the description box down below. Some of the ones I will be mentioning, you've heard me mention before, but there's also some new things that I've tried that I do want to add to the list, so let's get chatting. I mentioned an honorable mention, and that honorable mention is right here, the Silver and Cold by Dieverune Cosmetics. You knew the minute that this would be in, I had to start showcasing it. This only just got in the other day. I haven't even played with this. I haven't taken pictures yet. I mean, the plastic is still on the mirror. This is the Silver and Cold. It's a little bit more colorful. It's not super neutral, but I did want to mention it here to show you what it looks like in this lighting. If the lighting is different, by the way, I painted a wall in my house, so that could mean like my living room is going to change quite a bit over the next couple of weeks/months. So if the lighting changes, it could just be because it's spring, but it could also be that the fact that I now have a burgundy wall instead of a green wall affects what things look like. I'm gonna figure out what that means for filming. I don't know yet, but this is sort of like my first test case, you could say. But here's a Silver and Cold. Not super neutral. It is quite colorful, but it's like soft colorful. It's muted colorful. There's a lot of gray into this. Like, you only get really here neutrals, but then these like purpley tones, pretty gray leaning. You get something a little bit brighter here in the middle, and then some blues and some greens. I am very much looking forward to seeing what this looks like on my face with some of these more, let's say, muted color stories that look really gray toned in the pan. Sometimes, because I do have a more cool to neutral undertone myself, they can actually look very vibrant compared to the swatches that I find online. So I'm very curious to see how this will go. This is going to go into my May Shop My Stash, so I will be testing it out for you then. Everything else here is in absolutely no particular order. Some of these may be discontinued and very difficult to find. Others you will be able to find very easily. There's going to be different price points. You know the drill. Whenever I do these things, I always have a mix of drugstore, indie, luxury, Sephora name brands. Whatever it is that floats your boat, there will be something here that will be appealing to you, I find. If you like a cool tone palette, that is something that you do need to enjoy. Well, we're gonna start with the itty bitty things, and one of the itty bitty things is also one of the cheapest options I have for you. This is by MUA. This is their Stardust palette, and this is beautiful. I have raved about these little 5 pans from MUA ever since I started testing them out. They are really beautiful. This is one of the newer ones that they now do. They also do one called Andromeda Skies that I really like. And it's really this shimmer that sets it apart for me. You get some cooler tone browns, a purple, and this does have a little bit of warmth in, but I feel it nicely ties the entire palette together and keeps it from it being too flat. So the Stardust by MUA for £3 at the drugstore. You can do no wrong. We need to talk about Cheeryep. I love myself some Cheeryep palettes, and they do some really wonderful cool tone things. I believe this is called the Steelheart. And again, it does have some colorful things in, but it also has some beautiful neutrals. You can tell I love this shade here that has a nice dent in. It has some taupey gray leaning things, then some like gray leaning purpley tones, and then some pinks for the accents. It's not the most pink tone palette that they have. In fact, I will be showcasing that in a different video later this week. But overall, this is very neutral leaning. It's got some really nice cool tones in. And if you want a cool tone neutral look, you can definitely create that with this. but then you also have those pinks to add a bit of interest if you want to. This one was limited edition, so you can no longer find it, but I still really enjoy this. This is the Dior Silver Essentials, and this is a wonderful eyeshadow palette for people who love their satins. Like I said, I have a really mixed bag here for you today, so that also includes some different textures, because not everybody likes the same thing, not everybody likes wearing the same thing. I mean, today I have something super sparkly on. This is the Dede Signature Festive Glam eyeshadow palette, which is gorgeous, but these sort of sparkly things will not work for everyone, and if that's you, then looking into these like satin leaning palettes that Dior does is really beautiful. I do have one from the regular line as well, but it's warmer toned. It's the Smokey Essentials, but it has the same formula, and I think these are really, really lovely. So if you find a color story from this line that you love, I think you're going to enjoy it. But this gray and purple leaning color story, I mean, when I spotted this in store, I knew I had to try it. Another brand that does some really good cool tone palettes, but that can be a little hit and miss, is LH Cosmetics. These are quite pricey, and for like how many shades you get, they're a similar price point to the Dior, I feel. And these do not work the best in a finger swatch. You need to see these going onto the lids to fully appreciate them. I feel that that is something that, because of social media, not everybody is willing to do anymore. So when these palettes first released, I feel a lot of people were talking down on them for absolutely no reason now that I've tried a couple. This is the Aim Higher, and you can see what a lovely, like, cooler toned neutral color story this is. Don't be fooled by this yellow shade. It doesn't look yellow on the skin. It's actually got a transparent base, and it has this really beautiful, like, purpley blue iridescence to it. It's a great topper that goes with all of these neutrals. It goes quite deep. You get some gray tones, some lovely taupey browns, and then in some wonderful neutrals that, again, don't have too much warmth in them to the point where they are going to skew very warm or neutral. They're really good smack in the middle kind of neutrals that will go really well with the cool tones that are in here too. Another affordable thing, and this is one of the newer things that I have personally tried in this list, this is the Morphe Cyber Chrome palette. I did film a short with this, so if you want to see me create a look with this, then you can find that here on the channel. And this is a wonderful little 6-pan. I believe these retail for like £12, I think, for 6 shades. So that's pretty decent. And even this pink that looks quite warm toned in the pan actually didn't pull very warm toned on me personally. I really like it. These like poured, more special shades are really lovely too. I had a lot of fun playing with this, and I think that Morphe is definitely onto something with these like little 6-pans. I haven't tried any of the bigger palettes, mainly because I wanted to try that special formula that's in the middle of this palette, and the bigger palettes don't have that. So that's why I decided to try this one. And not one of the bigger ones, but I believe there is a bigger one that's cooler toned as well. That would be something I would be interested in trying, just to see if the formula is very different from what we get in here, safe from, of course, those very sparkly shades. Next up is a very different price point. This is the Pat McGrath Mothership 1. This is the Subliminal palette, and this has been one of my favorite cool tone palettes of all time for a while now. That is also still available. We'll see once we get to the rest of the stack. There are plenty of cool tone palettes that I love, but they are no longer around, so that's a bit of a shame. But I love this. I still do. I still look at this and go like, oh. And this really had a moment on TikTok for a while. Another Hannah had an entire playlist, she probably still does, with loads of different looks that she's done with this. And I still really covet this palette. I'm so happy I picked it up. It's such a good neutral color story that still has loads of pretty cool tones in, wonderful shimmers, great formula, amazing mattes, some satins in there. It comes together every single time. I really like mine till this day. And I know that some people say like, oh, but you call something a favorite and then it doesn't look used. We all know I have a massive eyeshadow palette collection, and I've had a massive palette collection for years. But even the palettes I owned before I used to own a lot of eyeshadows still don't look that used, because I'm very gentle with my makeup. So that is something to be aware of. Just because I call something a favorite and you don't see any dents doesn't mean I don't use it. 2 Glam Shop palettes that I just have to mention them again here. but both no longer around. The Tsimna Mocha was released a little bit later. This is absolutely gorgeous as far as cool tone neutral color stories go. I think this is one of the best ones ever made. Glam Shop does do palettes quite regularly, but they're always limited edition, so once they're out of stock, they never come back. So I do check the website from time to time just to see if there's anything new, because they don't always announce everything on their Instagram, I find. So following the brand there, which is something I do, isn't always helpful. The Coco Sanka is really beautiful as well. It's a good alternative to the That's Taupe by Colourpop, which I believe is still available. I didn't put that one in because there is a Colourpop palette I like a little bit better, but know that if you want this sort of like darker, murkier, slightly more smoky, taupey look, that the That's Taupe is going to give you a very similar effect. I just still like this a lot as well because it has this beautiful duochrome in the middle that the That's Taupe doesn't have. This has some beautiful shimmers and I still really rate this as well. This silver is amazing. That one does look a little bit used, but yeah, this overall is just such a good palette. But one of the reasons why I don't use my Glam Shop palettes any more than I do is because they are limited edition and I'm just afraid to break them. And yeah, it's a whole thing. Here's that Colourpop palette that I wanted to chat about instead of the That's Taupe. Here's the Cloud 9. Is this still available? It was around for a long time. And the Cloud 9 was a palette that when it released, a lot of people hated on. Yes, this is very, very light. Unless you're like me and you have pasty pale skin, you're not going to enjoy this. If you have deep skin, this is not for you. But I think there are going to be plenty of options that I've already shown or that I'm about to show you that will work for you if you have a medium to deep skin tone. This is for the fairest of the fairs. This is for the snow angels. This is for the ice queens. That's who this is aimed at. You do get a deeper shade, but nothing here is super deep, you know? A lot of mid-tones that are also skewing again a little bit lighter. We get a holographic shade. This is a beautiful shimmer, and everything in here just looks really ethereal and whimsical on the eyes, which is what I love. The Cloud 9 is one that I do go back to regularly, and I love mine. One that I really, really wish the brand would bring back, but I do have another palette by them in this little list, and it's the Smoke and Mirrors. And the Smoke and Mirrors by Gloss Gods was limited edition for Christmas. I think actually the year I discovered them, I almost didn't buy this, because I remember when I first bought them, I bought their palettes for the first time in the fall time, and it took a while for the products to get here because this is a Swedish indie brand, so shipping wasn't super quick. And I bought two palettes that were around at the time, and then they released this one for Christmas, like a week after I had gotten those new palettes in, and I hadn't had time to play with them yet, so I had no clue whether I was gonna like this brand. But this color story just spoke to me so much that when they brought it back and there was a discount on for Black Friday, I was like, I have to buy this. So I did. It's got some lovely gray tones, and then these purples are some of the best like cooler tone pinky purples I've ever tried, especially these two on this end I just love. And then you just get some neutrals here at the top. There are some like shifty shades in here. I still really rate this very highly, and this is one of the palettes when Gloss Gods asks their followers on Instagram, what would you like to see coming back? It's always between this one and the Dancing in the Sky. And they did bring back the Vintage Glam, which is one that I passed up on at the time. They did bring that back last year. So I'm still praying, hoping that this one is one day going to make it back onto the Glam Shop or the Gloss Gods website. But they have a different cool tone palette now. So I'm not sure whether they're ever going to bring this back because they have that new thing, which is on the list. So you'll see that in a sec. The Beauty Bay Smokey palette, Beauty Bay is back. The website has been bought by a different party, so these palettes are going to be up for sale again once the website reopens and you can place orders again. The Smokey collection from Beauty Bay is wonderful. The 16 pen palette, but I also have the larger 42 one. If you want a one-stop shop cool tone neutral eyeshadow palette and you don't want it to break the bank, get the 42 one, especially if you just want every single cool tone under the sun that has a more neutral vibe that isn't too colorful. Yes, yes, please go into the Beauty Bay 42 pan, because this is amazing eyeshadow quality. I think I got the little set both in like the 16 pan and the 42 pan for like 25 euros on the website. So it's really, really cheap and cheerful, and you get a beautiful array of cooler tones that are all neutral. Some of them have a bit of a blue vibe to them, like there are some like navy shades in here, but they just do really wonderful things. Some of it is straight up silver, some things have a purpley undertone, and in the big palette you even get some with a green undertone. I just like taking this one up here to show you because it's easier and easier to hold. But yeah, the Beauty Bay Smokey palette is one of the best things I feel that they've ever done. This one, I don't think it's still around, but it's by Glamlight. It's the Ghostface Lives, the first Ghostface palette that they did. And it's essentially all gray, but not boring. Let me preface by saying that, because sometimes grays can be boring, but you can see here that they really touch upon the full array of what a gray can bring you. They can be brown, they can be purple, they can be blue. There's even a hint of green in this shimmer right here. I love these. You can see like some of the shimmer, like there's like all these letters in, and this one I've just completely destroyed. Every single time I reach for this palette, I go into that one shade. So yeah, I love these. I think this is wonderful. Glamlight, as far as indie brands go, is one of the more affordable options to look into. So if you like your indie brands, but you don't want them to break the bank, then looking into Glamlight can be worth it. I'm just not sure they still do this one. I just mentioned Gloss Gods. This is that other palette. It came out for Christmas last year. It's called the Starry Skies. I do apologize for any fingerprints that are on here. It's the packaging that just, it won't clean. I've given up. But this is beautiful, and I've actually, when I decluttered my makeup collection this year, my eyeshadow palette collection, I kept this over the Natasha Denona Xenon. So the Natasha Denona Xenon, I no longer own because I have this. This is a very similar vibe to the Natasha Denona Xenon palette, but this has the contrast that the Xenon is lacking. So in the Xenon, for instance, there is a shade like this, but this is just a touch darker than the one in the Xenon. We get some things that are blue leaning, but they are proper blues, not this like in-betweeny. We get the grays, and then it may look like there are like 3 white shimmers in here. They all have different undertones. They all have different shifts. They are all wonderful. This does skew a little bit more blue depending on how you put the shades together. I very deliberately didn't take my Bella Beauty Bar and Sassy Fairy eyeshadow palette with me to show you here, because I feel that's more of a blue color story to begin with. It's blue-purple rather than neutral. This is still very neutral leaning, but you do need to be careful what shades you put together. But you can very easily turn this into a full-on blue look or a neutral look with a pop off something a little bit more blue-toned. But you get essentially like this has blue, this has blue, this has blue. Some of the grays do have a slight blue undertone as well, so that is something, if you don't like blue tone grays, you may not like this, but I think this is a really good palette. We have to discuss the Smolder by Cosmic Beauty. Of course, the minute this was released, you knew I was gonna like this, and I confirmed that for myself. I actually decluttered my Cool Trolls palette because I was like, this is what I wanted Cool Trolls to be. I didn't need to have that. Is this a beautiful palette? Yes. There is a touch of warmth here, especially this shimmer, but I feel that if we sort of ignore this, we're good. We're very, very good. If I ever go back into this palette again, which I will be doing sometime this year, I'm mainly going to focus on the 3 bottom row shades, and this top row I'm kind of going to ignore. There are some shades in here that I would just skip, especially these 2. Like the pink, I feel I can make work. It looks quite warm toned in the pan, but I feel on my lids it looks a little bit more cool toned, and it has more of a blue undertone than I had expected. But overall, this is beautiful. I love the shade Smolder in here. That's like my favorite shade. We get some really good taupey neutrals in here. It just has some really fun things. It's got some duochromes in here. loads of good things to play with, and I love the Cosmic Beauty formula as well, so that's why this one is featured here. And I have one more palette for you, the Haunt Me palette from Blend Bunny. This is the cool tone palette that I wanted Blend Bunny to do for a very long time, and I like this a lot more than I had expected. I reviewed it for you in March, so you can go back to that video if you want to see additional looks and stuff I've done with this, because when I swatched this, I didn't have very high hopes. This does suffer from what most Blend Bunny palettes I feel suffer from, and that's that these like deeper things all look the same on me. There were some shades in here that I didn't necessarily need. This yellow tone gold, if that had a little bit more silver in, I would have liked it a little bit better in the grand scheme of things. But I was a little bit worried of how these things would go together. I ended up doing 3 looks with this, and I combined like 2 of the quads every single time, and that was the move for me to really get the most usage out of this. With palettes from Blend Bunny, there's a load of different ways you can use them. You can use each quad individually. You can also mix and match things, of course. You can use 6 shades together. You can use 8 shades together. And with this one, I feel it all goes together. I've tried some other Blend Bunny things in the past where I felt things didn't go together the way I wanted to. But this is one where I'm like, yes, this is not only the really good Blend Bunny formula that I love, because when it comes to formula, Blend Bunny is up there. Like, they're really, really good, like, formula-wise, but color story-wise, things didn't always come together for me. But with this one, yes, and it is very, very cool toned. I was surprised by how cool toned this was. I really thought that, for instance, these browns were too warm toned. They weren't. This sort of like dusty greeny gray quad is my favorite. This I love. I like the blue tones in here. This is nicely neutral. This is nicely neutral. Then you just get some grays with some blacks and then the reds. And this was the one that worried me because it looks so coral in the pan. And when I swatched it as well, I swatched it and I was like, that looks coral. That's not gonna work for me. And it ended up looking really pretty. So Blend Bunny Haunt Me is a really good cool toned eyeshadow palette as well. So those were all of the cool toned eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I will be posting 3 other videos this week all about eyeshadow palettes. Let me know in a comment down below if there's any particular eyeshadow palette related video you still want to see from me. I'm at least going to be doing spring palettes, but I haven't really decided yet on the rest. But I can talk about eyeshadow palettes every single day, so I'll have no problems coming up with some ideas anyways. But if you have anything in particular you would like to see, then I would like to hear your recommendations of what you want me to post next. And then I hope to see you again really, really soon in a new video, either here or on the second channel. I post once a week on there. It's called Floating in Books, and you can find the link in the description box down below. I post about everything that isn't makeup related on there, so you can check me out there. And then I really hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and then I hope to see you again in a new video. Bye-bye.